Well, hey there, friends, and welcome to our first attempt at a video lesson with notes. We are starting geometry today, and back in the olden days, geometry used to be its whole own class, but not anymore, so you get a little bit every year. So if we're following along in the book, we're following the pattern of the book, but doing assignments in Alex because that seemed easier to me. But the idea is we're doing chapter 7, section 1, and we're classifying angles. Okay, now I'm actually going to break the notes into 3 different videos just so that they aren't quite so long each. This first section we're mostly going to be covering some vocabulary. Some is just general geometry vocabulary, and some is specific to this lesson. So, vocab. Here we go. The first word that's a general geometry word is the word congruent. Congruent. Okay, and that's our special geometry word for equal or the same, because we needed a new word for that in geometry. And the symbol for congruent is an equal sign with a little squiggly on top. So that's just our geometry way of saying equal, because saying equal was too easy. I don't know. Anyway, here we go. So that's just a general, be aware that you're going to see that symbol quite a bit, okay? Let's see, the next vocabulary words we're going to talk about. First is a line. The special, well, these are Sanford definitions still. A line is a straight line, is obviously straight line that goes on forever in both directions. Goes on forever in both directions. Okay. And what that looks like is you'll see it with arrows on both sides. That means it's going on for infinity in both directions. And then sometimes they'll give you some points and they'll name those points. And so too, when we're writing this in problems, you would write this A, B, with a little line with arrows on it, which means it's a full line that goes on forever in both directions. And that's what it looks like. Okay, next up is a ray. A ray is a straight line. Let's see, that goes on forever in only one direction. Ooh, pencil. Forever in only one direction. Okay, so what that looks like is you'll have a point on one end and then an arrow on the other end. So a lot of the angles we're going to talk about later on in these lessons are going to be actually created from rays. So same idea, that point will probably have a name and we'll put a point somewhere else on there. And when we write it as a symbol, it would be ray AB, and you'd literally just put that same little symbol right on top of those letters. All right, and then next on this, we have a line segment. And we'll be using these a lot in geometry. A line segment is a straight, so many letters, straight line that ends. It has endpoints, and so usually a line segment will look something like this, and you'll have your points labeled, and the symbol for this one is just going to be a B with a line over it, and we don't actually put the points. We assume because it doesn't have arrows that it doesn't go on forever. So this would be line segment AB. Okay, so that's just how to, there's one problem on Alex that has you label those things. So hopefully now that you've seen it and or heard it, you've got that much. Okay, next up, let's talk about our angles. And hopefully this is review for you. I'm pretty sure you guys have already used these words last year and in years past, but let's just make sure we've got them. So an acute angle means it's less than 90 degrees, and so it's cute and little and looks something like that. Okay, an obtuse angle is greater than 90 degrees, and so that will look something like that. And then a right angle is exactly 90 degrees. Oh, pencils, so fun, right? Okay, so your 90 degrees, they will always have a little box in the corner, and that's how to specifically know that you've got a 90-degree angle. They will label them that way, so hopefully you can figure that out. So you will be asked to, is a 63-degree angle acute, obtuse, or right? And obviously it's smaller than 90, so it's an acute, and like this would be 123 degrees or something like this. And then a 90-degree angle, a right angle is always 90 degrees. Okay, and then the last section I want to cover in this video is how to name angles. Okay, because sometimes we'll have a whole big group of them, or frequently we'll have something that looks like this or something like that with a line coming out of it. And there's 3 different ways to actually name angles. All right, and this would be like, let's call this A. This would be the vertex of the angles, right? That's where they come together. And then we'll have points on each of these. We'll call them B, C, and D. And then we can put some numbers in here as well. Now, one of the things you first need to know is when we're talking about angles, when we're writing about angles more specifically, you're going to put a little angle before however you name it. This means it's an angle. You're talking about an angle, okay? So the first way to name an angle is to name a point on one of the rays, the vertex, and another point. Okay, so point, vertex, point. Ooh, I'm not doing so good with my pencil today, am I? All right, so point, vertex, point. So for example, we could have angle BAC. And again, traditionally, you either go in like clockwise or counterclockwise. Tend to just do them in order. You could also call that one CAB, and it would be the same angle. And then we could have angle CAD, or you could call it DAC. Just make sure the vertex is the letter in the middle. That's the important part on that. Okay, then next up, we can also label the angle. If you don't have a bunch that meet at the same vertex, you can just call it by the vertex. In this case, if we called it angle A, then that would mean angle BAD. Spells bad. Anyway, do you see what I'm saying? Like if we say this vertex, I think that would mean this big angle right here. Okay, and then the third way to describe angles is if you do have numbers on the inside of them, you can just call it by the number inside the angle. Okay, and so for example, you could have angle 1, or angle 2. And that's how we would talk about those angles. Okay, again, let me know in the comments or questions or emails or whatever if you have questions on any of this information. I'm going to do 2 more videos for stuff you need to know to be able to do the assignment on Alex. All right, thanks, bye.